US work commune. Strange activity among workers. Hey guys, so my friend recommended I bring this here to be discussed. I recently moved to a commune in the northwest of the United States, and everything seemed fine and cool until a month after my arrival. Everyone started acting rigid emotionally and physically. I never see anyone do anything besides work and sleep. I was walking back to my dorm when I caught pick related. Normal people don't sleep like that, right? The day after, he acted very distant emotionally and cold in his responses, just like everyone else. I feel like I'm the only actual person in this commune, and as ridiculous as it sounds, I'm beginning to think everyone is a robot or android of some kind. The day after, when we were eating at the mess hall, he kept looking at his food like he did not recognize it almost. When he'd take a bite, he'd have a strange look for a moment, then back to looking almost robotic. I don't think he's high on anything. It's not just him acting strange. About the hand, I've seen a lot of people resting with very rigid hands when lounging. Is there any way I could politely ask about the hands or behavior? I want to bring it up in the weekly meeting when the boss comes, but I'm not sure how. Another odd thing I've noticed when I sleep in my bunk, I hear a lot of faint machinery sounds, even though there is no large machinery on the farm. Sounds almost like a small factory is going. At first, I did not notice, but now, laying in the quiet, it's noticeable. There is a structure on the property that I notice will be lit up after hours, but I'm not sure if that is where the sound is coming from. Could be. I can take more photos tomorrow. I'm going to draw a layout for you guys so you know what I am referencing. OP here. Hey guys, sorry. I just got reprimanded for getting too close to the workshop where I think the noise is coming from. They are deciding on my punishment, and I think they're going to cut my ration or something like that for the next 2 days. I will be more active and post some more pictures today when I am done dealing with this. Update on behavior. Still very off and very hostile now that I went over to investigate like you Anons recommended. I don't think I'm going to bring anything up Thursday at the meeting. Just gonna lay low and see if I can get any more pics. OP here. So, I took this picture while working. Sorry for the bad quality. I had to be sneaky so I would not arouse attention. Everyone in the commune is vegan for ethical and cost reasons. Everyone refers to this ball like if it's a member of the community, and they have at least one individual caring for it at all times. The person tending to the bull gives it mud baths and provides shade to it with umbrellas. The bull gets fed better than us and is always groomed and pampered after the mud. A condition of joining the commune is to be atheist, which I am not, but I lied, so it baffles me why they almost worship this animal. They only reference to the bull as he, and, come to think of it, it is the only time I've heard them use that word for anything. If a person needs something, they use their first names instead of pronouns. Anon just put himself inside a cult with an advanced AI or some type of old demons/spirits that hijacked and worships Moloch. You're in a pretty fucked up shit, dude. The machinery you said about can either just be workers working on some nerd shit or underground tunnels that lead to something worse. I don't really know anything about the Moloch or God-worshipping stuff to really say anything, but that sounds unpleasant. Yes, there are women. I'd say maybe a few more than men, but it's close to 50-50. Hooking up is not really allowed, just to avoid that question. OP again. Forgot to mention this in my last post. I was talking to my bunkmate, who's been here for 4 months. He seems more open than the rest, but I don't trust him entirely either. We sleep in the same space, so I feel closer to him than the rest. I asked about the machine sounds today, and he said the structure that the sounds are coming from was built on top of a bunker from the 50s, and it had old computers, the type with reels and tubes. He says they calculate things, but would not specify. I'm assuming he does not know either. He went in once because a fire broke out in there and tried putting it out while on security detail. He is a former vet and he served in the Gulf War. He's like my dad's age. Also, pic related is a map to try and give you an idea of the layout. I didn't mean hooking up. Do you see women more often around the bowl? Does it get somewhat a strangely weird treat from the women? Did you ever see any strange symbol or tattoo that sounds exactly like what a cult person would do? Does the bull have any symbol on it? Are the people who are constantly around the ball always the same? I am really curious about this thread. Sounds like you got into some weird shit. OP again. Women tend to the bull more than men, and they do give it treats. Fruit usually. Maybe even nuts. I'm not entirely sure, since I'm usually focusing on my own work. Another thing I've noticed is that most of the people in the commune seem knowledgeable about computers and stuff like that, more than the average person, I guess. Occasionally, I would hear people talk about crunching numbers or simulations, I don't know. OP here. I'm gonna go explore once it's darker outside. I will let you guys know what I find, and I will take pictures. I'm gonna have dinner at the mess hall. We'll update ASAP. As for why I'm here, I had a shitty family, and after running away from home, I tried the army, but it did not work out. I heard of the place from an advertisement in Seattle looking for people for a community commune. OP here. I decided to sneak out of my bunk to take some pics of the workshop. The sounds of the computers or machines were loud, and I was thinking about what you guys said about the situation. As I was making my way to the workshop, I heard odd sounds near the well. It is pitch black out there. I bumped into someone on the same dirt path I was on, along the side of the factory shop, right beside the roll-up garage door. He was in a diving gear, pic related, with another of the leader group holding a flashlight. That is the only picture I was able to take of them. When he saw me, he acted pretty calm, but was agitated to see me outside. He called and told me to go back to my bunk right away. I am most likely now in a lot of trouble, and I will definitely be called to a meeting tomorrow about this. Also, I'm back now in my bunk, and my bunkmate is no longer here. He seemed asleep when I left. We'll try and update if anything happens. I'm gonna throw out a hypothesis here, and maybe some of you research anons will want/be able to jump on it. I used to live on the Olympic Peninsula in WA, just above the straits of Juan de Fuca. Everyone there was aware of abandoned World War II bunkers built close to the cliffs all the way into the Puget Sound, for there had been fear that Axis ships would use these waters as a way into Seattle, where there was much more material and factories. They were more of a lookout nature then, but there is no reason some might not have been repurposed after Armistice into Cold War use. Some are found and known, some easier to access than others. Some have probably never been found. I propose that OP's creepy commune is on the Olympic Peninsula, either on the straits or the coast, not too far inland. The old-time computer bunker atop which sits the workshop could very easily have a vintage lift system that leads down to the base of the cliffs themselves, possibly with lookouts carved into the rock facing along the way. Also, possibly with tunnel systems branching out to meet with other bunkers, where these AI/cybernetic leaders might be doing who knows what else more strange and sinister than calculating on real/tube computing machines. For what it's worth, I also read a Jack Reacher novel about a drug lord who had purchased a massive abandoned bunker property whose underground facility housed a forgotten enormous surplus of World War II desoxin, very pure military meth. Something is happening at Anon's farm. I think you friends here are just the people to figure out its location without him doxing himself. What say? OP here. Sorry for the delay. I was going to join the others on the farmer's market drive, but I was stopped from going by some of the leader group. They told me I was no longer trusted and that they are concerned with my behavior regarding me sneaking out, and that they believe it will be better if I stay back and relax. They think the cold weather and amount of hours worked is making me act strange, and the reason for my erratic behavior, according to them. They asked me to hand over my tablet. All I have now is my phone, so I could rest better, and that if my behavior does not improve, they offer to treat me with homeopathic remedies. They moved me to bunk 2. I was in house 1 before, and I don't have any roommates in this one. I'm starting to think they really no longer trust me, and none of this is sitting well with me. I have not seen my bunkmate since I left last night to check out the shop again. I will do further exploration tonight, and if I am caught, I am going to just leave. Expert in cults and secret societies here. I've written material on these groups, and I've been looking, but decided to throw my 2 cents in. I've heard of AI worship among certain circles, and coincidentally, the idea first popped up in the Northwest. Norbert Wiener and others are a figurehead for these groups, messiah-like almost. It could be that they are using analog computers for something, one good reason being the lack of internet connection, which eliminates the risk of outside influence. The scuba diver was interesting. It could be that the well leads to something. Perhaps the well is a form of coolant for something beneath the ground. At night, when you hear the machinery, just get up and follow the sound. What is the worst that could happen? There is little to no service on the farm, and the only Wi-Fi available is strictly for selling handmade goods and crafts, and only leaders can use it. Depending on where you are in the farm, you will get 1 bar if lucky. So who makes the decisions? You said there was a boss of some sort, right? What is the overall goal of the place? Is everyone concentrated on one goal, or do people pretty much do what they want to do, day to day? We vote for group leaders bi-monthly, and I have only voted once so far. These leaders set up the daily schedule and encourage everyone else to be productive. The work consists of typical agricultural stuff and handmade goods. I'm beginning to suspect that these leaders answer to someone because they have leadership meetings in the workshop where I think the machine sounds come from, and I find it all very odd and slightly uncomfortable. Yeah, bro, there is definitely some other shit going on at this place. They are doing something in this workshop that would probably piss everybody off, which is why they don't let the normies there know what is happening. Try to spy on them, or creep up on the place at night, and see what you can find. Other than that, if I were you, I would be getting the fuck out of there ASAP. Bulls are usually associated with human sacrifice. You are fucked, OP. Well, sounds like the bull is a scapegoat to make it look like they are just a bunch of lunatics trying to do their own city. Also, it can be a form to hide the real leader behind. But about simulations, what have you heard about it? Ever heard about AI? Someone mentioning AI, or a name of someone you don't say, but you hear around that sounds strangely out of place? I am not knowledgeable about computer stuff. I did overhear some leaders in their mess hall talk about artificial intelligence and games. I don't know what they were referring to, but it's not like video games. I'd hear them talk about a guy called Norman or Norbert Wiener. That's why I thought they answered to someone when they had their meetings in the workshop. I'm researching a number of New Age centers that existed in the early 1980s. They are mostly known for their summer camps. Various things I've read here and there over the years all point to one detail that is weird, but seems to be consistent, and that's the fact that they were all located in or near cities, counties, towns, etc. that had names starting with L, leading to all of their names subsequently starting with L. In the case of Louisiana's spiritual scientists, it was the state itself in the name. Other than a few blog posts or stories I've read here or in a few other places, there is not that much info about them, and they seem to have abruptly disappeared. I have a theory that they were run by a cult, and that some vestiges of this cult are still operating to this day. It might make sense if they were in some of the same locations as they were 35 to 40 years ago. I am probably barking up the wrong tree here, but it definitely sounds like whatever you've got yourself wrapped up in is probably a cult, so do be careful. What kind of group activities do you do there? More on Norbert Wiener. After the war, His fame helped MIT to recruit a research team in cognitive science, composed of researchers in neuropsychology and the mathematics and biophysics of the nervous system, including Warren Sturgis McCulloch and Walter Pitts. These men later made pioneering contributions to computer science and artificial intelligence. Wiener later helped develop the theories of cybernetics, robotics, computer control, and automation. He discussed the modeling of neurons with John von Neumann, and in a letter from November 1946, von Neumann presented his thoughts in advance of a meeting with Wiener. This is not some hippy-dippy P&W commune. Please do let us know how you found it, how it was presented, and why you chose to join. I was in a cult. Now what? Hey everyone. I recently left a cult in the Northwest United States. I made a thread here about it months ago, and unfortunately, I was not able to update you guys because they knew I was speaking to the outside world and confiscated my second phone. As a matter of fact, the guy broke it in front of me when he saw the thread and questioned me on who I was contacting. Long story short, I was living there with zero contact, farming, and learning how to be a carpenter until they trusted me again to go get supplies with the other guys in town. On the way there, I fell asleep in my car and woke up outside my home. Let me guess, he was like, "Who is this guy? 4chan. Who is he? Are you telling Mr. 4chan about us? Who are you contacting? Who are these people? What is 4chan paranormal?" I am that OP. Sorry for not responding to you immediately. I was taking care of a bunch of bullshit that piled up since I've been gone. Turns out, the world does not stop and go at your convenience when you are in a cult. The way I got recruited was a joke at first. I travel a lot and make a living doing odd jobs or busking on the street. I never felt like a normal 9-to-5 job and a family was for me, and I'm not particularly talented or skilled besides street entertainment. I made my way to the Northwest, and these cultists, for a lack of a better term, advertised themselves as a commune and were looking for additional members who were willing to do farm work in exchange for a room and food. Typical commune shit. Anyway, after a few weeks, things got weird. The senior members were acting indifferent or cold to me, like if I was not a person. They acknowledged me in a frank manner, and every time I screwed something up, like not pumping enough out of the cistern or whatever other menial task they handed me, they would say, "This won't do. This is less than optimal," which is odd as hell. Who talks like that? Anyway, before entering the commune, they have a rule about limiting communication to the outside, which is obviously a red flag, but I am reckless and figured what the hell. I gave them an old iPhone I had on me and kept my real phone on hand in case anything happens. We had bedtimes, and I shared a bunk with some other new guys. At night, I would take a walk around the property. Technically it's not allowed, so I was cautious. I took a picture of one of the senior members in his cabin, sleeping like a mannequin. I posted it here, and was warned to leave by some Anons who were worried for my safety, and others encouraged me to continue. I decided I would investigate further and leave after a few days. At night, the senior members would meet at this barn and discuss boring shit about crop rotation and whatever needed to be done. I would sneak around the barn and heard them talking about artificial intelligence, along with the names of scientists who were considered the fathers of AI. Someone in the thread found that out after I told them a name I overheard. I forgot the name. Heineck? I don't know. Turns out, there is a lower level to the barn, full of mechanical equipment. Old computers, like the kind from the Cold War. Huge machines, and the sound of reels, projectors, and fans. I didn't know what to make of it. I left, and questioned some of the senior members of the commune. B 5th grade me was the weird kid. Had supernaturally great luck at predicting the future. Fancied myself a psychic. Was very dramatic and cringy about it. Had this cringy act where I told people who did not ask shit about my dreams. I dreamt that someone here gets really sick today. Later that evening, someone barfs in class. Surprisingly good, like a 75% accuracy rate. Get a following, which I realized later in life was just people who came to gawk at my cringiness. One night, I get a really violent dream. Adult man gets out of bed. Wife is sleeping. Gets knife from kitchen. Turns off every light in house. Goes to kid's room. Stabs one sleeping son on neck, and then stabs the other in the neck. Returns to bedroom, where wife is still sleeping. Slices her neck too. Gets into bathtub. Slices his neck. The dream wakes me up. It's 4 a.m. That morning in school, I don't talk about my dreams. Never do so after that. No one asks me anything. A few days later, principal comes to class with the guidance counselor alongside. Tells class that one of the kids from the class has not been coming because he and his brother died. Best friend of the kid asks how they died. Counselor only answers, in their sleep. Get a gut feeling that I already know what happened. I do end up finding out the truth later on in high school. Googled the dead kids' names. Murder-suicide. Father kills 2 children and wife and then himself. The only sources don't mention any weapon or anything relating to the tub. Still do get predictions in my dreams, but nothing on that scale. Be me, out hiking with 2 of my friends, in an area southeast of Adelaide. Sun starts going down, so we come back up the gorge. Walking along, when it starts smelling like blood or copper, something like that. Halfway up, hear something moving in the brush. Shit, there is 3 of them. 1 to the left of the track, 1 to the right, and 1 behind us. Standing dead still, not making a noise. From the bottom of the gorge, hear this ungodly scream. It sounded like a woman screaming for help, but in reverse. The 3 things start to move closer. We all nope the fuck out of there. Sprinting up the gorge. Jesus fuck, why is this thing so steep? Smoker friend starts lagging behind, 'cause fucking lungs. He's screaming at us. Wait guys, fuck, wait, come back. Fuck. I slow down to his pace so he does not get jumped. These things are right behind us, but still hidden in the scrub. They are making noises, like a dog, trying to speak human. Oh shit, there's the car, run. As we get to the car, I turn around, and see this pale-ass, man-sized thing slink back into the scrub. Hear what sounds exactly like my friend in the scrub. Wait guys, come back. It screams again. We nope the fuck out of there. Nobody believes me but my sister. It was terrifying. It happened a little under 6 months ago. Have not gone back since. I've got a minor story, nothing major. Be me, 16 years old. Showering after work, around 9 p.m. Parents and siblings in living room, watching television. Lock bathroom doors, because goober siblings sometimes walk in. Rinsing off, notice a shadow behind the shower curtain. Remove curtain, see a hand. Just a totally black right hand, devoid of light, like a perfect shadow. Slowly drifts towards light switch. The second it touches the switch, lights go off. Stand there in the running water, trying to process what the fuck just happened. After a few seconds come to, throw curtains aside, and flick the lights back on. Nothing in the room. Turn water off. Get out. Nervously ask if anyone was near the bathroom. No, we knew you were in the shower. Next 3 months, power tools outside would turn on seemingly at will. Grinders, drill press, random tool turning on by itself at 4 a.m. every day for months. Extension cords running out to parked fifth wheel, unplugged, and thrown across the yard. Persists for a few months, then stops entirely. Be 17 now. Have a really bad fever. Laying alone in room. Nobody else in house. Mind drifting. Start thinking about a childhood dog that has long since passed. Close eyes, trying to sleep. Hear heavy thuds come from end of room to bed. Then a sudden weight placed on top of me. Just like how my dog would jump on my bed whenever I was laying down sick. I didn't feel scared or even alarmed. I think I knew what it was. My mother had some odd things happen to her when she was younger. My grandmother too. Here is one she told me. Be grandmother, 6 or 7 years old. Her grandfather passes away. Never met him personally. Day after funeral. standing at corner, waiting to cross the street. Older man walks beside her, starts to talk. Asks her why she's sad. She explains. Older fellow explains that death is a natural part of life, that her grandfather is proud of her, even though they were not very close, and that she should be happy he was in her life. Grandmother crosses the street. Family friend was on the other side, watching her. Anon, who were you talking to? Grandmother describes the nice man, down to the clothes he was wearing. Family friend recognizes immediately that she is describing her grandfather, one of his friends. He tells her not to talk to strangers anymore and sends her along. Big grandmother, still young, have an imaginary friend named George. George would hang out, play around, move or misplace things sometimes. George would sometimes move things in front of her. Great-grandfather wondering how cup moved from directly before her on the ground to on top of the refrigerator. George did it. Big grandmother, late 20s. Get pet cat for daughter. My mother, around 6 or 7. Mom is really attached to the cat, takes it everywhere. Cat gets sick, passes away. Mother distraught, grandmother too. For years after, mother and grandmother claim to see cat shadow or form in the corner of their eye, darting in or out of rooms, etc. Years later, my younger sister is born. First birthday, we gather for a picture. Grandmother, mother, me, sister. To the right of my sister is a very distinct but fuzzy outline of a cat. We didn't have a cat. Be a non-mom, 4 or 5. Live adjacent to the church's graveyard. Playing hide and go seek with other kids in the graveyard. They are hiding way too well, moving a lot faster than her. Grandmother comes by looking for her. What are you doing playing around here? You could get hurt. I'm playing with my friends. Nobody else in the graveyard. Grandmother kept her out of it from that point on. My grandmother says she personally knew Anton LaVey, that he was interested in her connection to spirits, as he put it. Says she has a picture of them together somewhere. I hope to find it at some point. Maybe it's because of that, or her parents' Freemason connections, that these weird happenings follow us. This story happened pretty recently actually. Be me. Broke up with GF last year. We still live together because, times are hard. She finally saved up enough to move out last month. I helped her move into her new house. After a long day of moving, I was very tired. Laying down on couch in the finished basement. Started to drift off. Woke up to footsteps upstairs. I think it's probably XGF. I get up and start to head up the stairs to the kitchen. On the way, I realize I can hear voices. It sounds like more than 3 people. The footsteps are also clearly different than XGF's. I grab a crowbar to use as a weapon, and I kick open the door while screaming, "Who the fuck is there?" Goes silent. I start to walk towards where I heard the footsteps. Past the French doors, into the living room. The French doors slam shut behind me, hard enough to break a few panes of glass. That shit scared me. I jumped and started screaming. Nobody is on the other side of the panes. I heard through the doors again, screaming, more threats. I hear the footsteps above me. I run upstairs, towards the sound. I'm standing in the upstairs hallway. I hear what sounds like 3 people run up the stairs behind me. I think I'm fucked, and I ready myself to fight these people, who I assume were going to jump me. Nobody comes up the stairs. What the fuck? I turn to go down the hallway. I see a shadow figure. It seems to be a woman's shape, and it is at least 8 feet tall. While I'm looking at it, I feel sick, and I have a strange burning sensation in my ears. I felt like it was staring at me. When I blinked, it was gone. I was overwhelmed with feelings of dread. Could not sleep in that house for a while after that. Nothing has happened before or since. I think it was just a vivid dream. But then, that does not explain how my French door slammed so hard that the glass broke out of the panes. I do not know.